dnešním dílu pořadu Svět okem Raptora se podíváme na čínský plán do roku 2029, 2035 a 2049. Dále nahlédneme na vizionářský záměr reforem prezidenta Xi Jinpinga a jaké jsou klíčové body usnesení Ústředního výboru komunistické strany Číny o dalším komplexním prohlubování reforem. V reportáži se podíváme na čínský plán pro roky 2029, 2035 a 2049.
I'm Robert Lawrence Kuhn, and here's what I'm watching. China's roadmap to 2029, 2035, and 2049. 3 milestone dates in the country's long march to the Chinese dream, the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. The grand goal set by President Xi Jinpinga and just affirmed by the third plenary session of the 20th Communist Party of China, CPC, Central Committee. Everyone who wants to understand China must understand party announcements, especially those summarizing critical plenums. Those who dismiss party statements as turgid party speak miss an opportunity to discern insights. Let's go. According to authorities, the holding of the plenary session highlights the strong determination and strong sense of mission of the party's Central Committee, with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, to carry out reforms to the end. It is a reaffirmation of what flag to raise and what path to take in the new era and on the new journey. This is of great and far-reaching significance for advancing the construction of a strong nation and the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation through Chinese modernization. To analyze major party policies, I seek to distinguish what strikes me as novel and fresh, even if nuanced and subtle, from the oft-repeated, unchanging principles, such as upholding the party's overall leadership, promoting high-quality development, ensuring that people's well-being, and protecting the environment, among others. What I found sufficiently different to qualify as significant were the following. Using the term grave as well as complex to describe the international environment and the arduous tasks of advancing reform and development and ensuring stability at home. Upholding fundamental principles and breaking new ground, which encourages new thinking by seeking to ensure that it does not undermine core ideology. Taking institution building as a main task, which stresses organizational continuity as opposed to individual fiefdoms. Exercising law-based governance on all fronts, which makes it clear that there are no exceptions. Applying systems thinking, which recruits a modern management system and best practices. The content heart of the third plenum communique had a parallel structure, each section beginning with either "it was stressed" or "it was stated." I do not believe these introductory phrases were accidentally appended, nor do I believe that the order of sections happened at random. Here are a few examples. It was stressed, party ideological commitment. It was stressed, review and apply valuable experience in order to deepen reform comprehensively. It was stated, a high-standard socialist market economy guarantees Chinese modernization. It was stated, high-quality development is a primary task. It was stated, integrated urban and rural development is essential to Chinese modernization. It was stated, opening up is a defining feature of Chinese modernization. The list goes on. Overall, there were 17, it was stated, and 5, it was stressed. 3 of the stresses referred to the party, 1 to deepening reform, and 1 to peaceful development. The full resolution of the third plenum consists of 15 parts and 60 articles, divided into 3 major sections. The first section expounds the significance and requirements of further comprehensively deepening reforms and promoting Chinese modernization. The second section takes economic system reform as the driving force in all fields and aspects. The third section talks about strengthening the party's leadership over reforms. The resolution puts forth more than 300 reform measures. Some are improvements and some are new. Although common prosperity is not stressed or even stated, likely because some would interpret it as anti-private sector, it is implicitly present in integrated urban and rural development and the people's well-being. Regarding China's roadmap and those 3 dates, I find great significance. 2049, the 100th anniversary of the People's Republic of China, has long been the aspirational target for the full realization of Chinese modernization. 2035, set at the 19th CPC National Congress, is the aspirational target for when China will basically realize socialist modernization, and 2029, set at this third plenum, gives a tight 5-year timetable for implementing all the reforms required to achieve the 2035 and 2049 goals. It is this 2029 date that is particularly interesting, because it now establishes the temporal criteria by which officials will be held accountable. It represents how profoundly President Xi is committed to basically realize socialist modernization by 2035. This should not be taken lightly. I'm keeping watch. I'm Robert Lawrence Kuhn.
Další reportáž nám přiblíží vizionářský záměr reforem prezidenta Xi Jinpinga.
I'm Robert Lawrence Kuhn, and here's what I'm watching. President Xi Jinping's leadership, especially with respect to reform. I wrote a book on China's 30 years of reform, from 1978 to 2008, for which then Zhejiang Party Secretary Xi Jinping gave me advice. I received the China Reform Friendship Medal at the 40th anniversary of reform in 2018, and I witnessed firsthand China's achievements and challenges since January 1989, which was my first of more than 150 trips to China, where I traveled the country meeting farmers and migrant workers, as well as leaders and officials. I've been following President Xi since 2005, when we first met in Hangzhou, and 2006, when we had an extended conversation in which he explained how political theory and pragmatic practice work together. He stressed adapting national policies to local conditions, and he focused on improving the lives of the people, environmental protection, and strengthening culture. While recognizing China's achievements, he called for a realistic appraisal of China's challenges. To appreciate President Xi's leadership on reform, one must begin by understanding what China means by reform. It does not mean less government and more private sector. It does mean optimizing both government and the private sector. In a word, when China says reform, China means improvement. So, when President Xi streamlined the government bureaucracy in 2018 by combining ministries and reducing their numbers, that was reform. When Xi transferred the management of the local courts to the provincial governments, that was reform. When Xi directed the restructure of China's healthcare system, that was reform. When Xi instituted the relentless anti-corruption campaign in the party, that was reform. I like to start with one of President Xi's first guiding political theories of overall governance, the four comprehensives, put forth in 2014, later the four-pronged comprehensive strategy, three of which refer to comprehensively expanding in-depth reform, promoting law-based governance, and enforcing strict party self-governance. From there, I go to Xi's first guiding theory of economic development, the five major concepts of development in 2015, later the new concepts of development: innovation, coordination, green, openness, and sharing. It was the first time that innovation was given pride of place as the first of the five, the top position. Xi's focus on innovation was just beginning. It would become the core of his vision to drive China's high-quality development via new quality productive forces. Xi's commitment to reform is exemplified by his leading, since the 18th CPC National Congress in 2012, over 72 highest-level reform-focused meetings, from the Central Leading Group for Comprehensively Deepening Reform to the Central Committee for Comprehensively Deepening Reform. This is called the drumbeat for reform. These senior-most meetings reviewed and approved more than 600 reform documents and guided authorities to issue more than 3,000 reform plans. Most recently, in June, Xi presided over the fifth meeting of the 20th Central Committee for Comprehensively Deepening Reform, which reviewed and approved a series of reform documents relating to the modern enterprise system, income guarantee mechanisms for grain farmers, and building a globally competitive open environment for scientific and technological innovation. It was in April 2023, at the first meeting, that Xi emphasized that comprehensively deepening reform should be regarded as the fundamental driving force for promoting Chinese modernization. Personally, I spent several years focusing on President Xi's anti-poverty campaign. Motivated by Xi's surprising comment, "I have spent more energy on poverty alleviation than on anything else." To Xi, the system of income distribution is the foundational system for promoting common prosperity. In 2018, the individual income tax threshold was raised from 3,500 yuan, about $482, to 5,000 yuan, $688 per month. This change reduced the proportion of taxpayers among urban workers from 44% to 15%, with additional deductions further lowering the tax burden for those earning below 20,000 yuan, $2,752 per month, by more than 50%. This, to Xi Jinping, is real reform. Looking forward, President Xi will continue stressing science and technology and indigenous innovation as the pinnacle of Chinese reform. I'm keeping watch. I'm Robert Lawrence Kuhn.
V této reportáži se podíváme na klíčové body usnesení Ústředního výboru komunistické strany Číny o další komplexní prohlubování reforem.
中共中央关于进一步全面深化改革、推进中国式现代化的决定单行本已由人民出版社出版，即日起在全国新华书店公开发行。